Hey guys, this is Kimiko. Welcome to something a little bit experimental, trying something a little bit out of my wheelhouse here. I recently picked up a Switch 2 and really wanted to properly experience Scarlet and Violet again. I have a bit of an excuse to because my original Switch had a battery issue that I needed to send it in for repairs, and unfortunately that means that all of my save data got deleted. So thankfully Pokemon Home was able to save all of my actual Pokemon, but I lost all of my Pokemon save files because they don't back up on the cloud like the rest of your saves do. So yeah, that would be cheating apparently. I mean, there's money on like the tournament stuff, I get it, but like, come on now, really? Whatever, doesn't matter. Point is, I have an extra save file on my second profile that I need to redo, and I enjoy these games probably way more than I should. So with the performance patch stuff making it so much nicer to play now, I want to properly experience it again. And so as the opening cutscene stuff comes up here, we are going to explain our rules of engagement. A basic playthrough would pretty much be too dull at this point, so we're going to do a Wonderlocke instead. Now, a Wonderlocke is essentially a Nuzlocke with surprise trades instead of en route encounters. So the way we're going to do this is it's going to be under hardcore Nuzlocke rules, so we'll have permadeath, we will have the level cap enabled, so we will not be able to, or not be allowed to, over-level the bosses that we are encountering. There will be no items in battle outside of held items, no Terastalization, no switching in between Pokemon, so we have to manually switch, and we will not have any duplicate Pokemon unless they are shinies. Despite what Tilda would tell you, I don't expect to encounter any shinies during this, but you never know, I'm going to be doing a fair bit of exploration in my own time at the start. It's possible. Now, the way we will determine encounters is that every time we would get a victory photo, aka normally it's a badge, but in Kitsukami, say, it would be when you go to the particular spots with Kira and then you take a picture, stuff like that, or in Blueberry when you get badges and whatnot there, we will be allowed one surprise trade. This surprise trade will have to be done on my main save file because the Nintendo Switch Online stuff is really stupid and you have to have it separate for every profile on your Switch. I'm not doing that, obviously, I'm not paying for this multiple times, so we will be doing surprise trades on the one that can connect to the internet. And these surprise trades will continue until we have a non-hacked Pokemon, and non-legendary obviously as well. It has to be breedable, because that is the way that we are going to actually have obedience come in, and also like level cap stuff, right? So because of the nature of surprise trades, there are a lot of Pokegen websites that get advertised on there, so I will not be using any Pokemon that comes from those, even as breeding material, because I just don't want to promote them. I'm going to blur out the names and stuff as well of when they show up, because they will show up, that's the thing. These Pokemon will be bred and EV'd on my main save file before they get transferred onto the playthrough file. They will be EV'd because these games are so open world that you can basically have everything max EV trained if you want to before you even set foot in a gym. You just have to go around getting enough items, but it is possible, and so we're going to just allow that. Now, any TMs that we find in the region will be usable, but I will not transfer TMs in. So I will not say teach a Charmander Fire Blast before it would actually be possible for me to find it in the game itself. I will be allowed to lose to Lacey to enter Blueberry Academy early, but I will not be allowed to lose to Carmine and Kieran early because that would lead to extra encounters, so I have to actually defeat them to get into Kitsukami. The ultimate goal here would be to defeat Petarant, but I'm not actually sure we can even get through Blueberry Academy here, especially Terapagos, but there is one of the gym challenges in Blueberry that we'll have to slightly alter the rules for, but we'll get there. Maybe. We'll see. Alrighty, so now you know what the rules are. We are on the main account so I can actually connect to the internet, and let's do our first surprise trade. It's going to be quite a while before we get another one. We're either going to have to beat the first gym, or we're going to have to survive Carmine and Kieran in order to make it through the gauntlet of stuff. Basically get ourselves to the first couple of stuffs in Kitakami, the first couple of pictures that you take with Kieran. So hopefully we get something useful here, and hopefully it's not hacked so I don't have to worry about that too much. But we know there's going to be plenty of it, because unfortunately surprise trades do tend to have a lot of that stuff go around. But it looks like Altaria doesn't tend to be one that gets hacked very often, so yeah, this should be pretty reasonable. So we will have a Swablu to begin with here. Let's just go in and check. We will see it is looking pretty reasonable. It just looks like one that was caught in the wild. Yep, level 43, just caught as is. That's one of the areas you can get it. So yeah, completely legit Pokemon. We will have ourselves a Swablu to start off with here. I will say the one of these that I've done before, Altaria, was a late game all-star. Not so sure about the early game. Swablu may struggle a little bit, but we will see. Good stuff though. Alright, and after breeding through, we have Sir Fluff the Swablu. Swablu at the moment is modest nature. We've maxed out the special attack stat, giving it about 108 HP and the rest 2 speed. It is going to rely on that special attack at the start of the game here. Ultimately, Adamant would be better, and later on in the game there is a reasonable chance that we would want to swap that, which is doable because you can get the EV reducing berries and stuff like that, so it would be doable to swap its stats and whatnot. But we are going to need to rely on Swift at the start of the game here, because otherwise I'm pretty sure we just lose to the electric stuff at the start here, right? So yeah, poor me is going to destroy us otherwise. Now, I'm not going to show too much of what goes on here outside of the key battle stuff, but what I want to know immediately, because this is a huge change for the Switch 2, patch stuff for this, right? Look how far away we can see Pokemon from here. There's a Tarantula that's up there, there's a Lechonk as well, and I think there's a bunch of Fletchling up there as well, just where that swaying bush thing is. These Pokemon spawn so far away compared to what they used to. It is utterly incredible. There's also over twice as many of them on the screen as there used to be. I think we used to be locked at about 15 Pokemon on the screen at any given time, and even that was like too much to handle, to be fair. But now I think I heard the cap is somewhere in the region of about 39, which is absolutely absurd. If we're being honest here, it's just kind of ridiculous how many Pokemon can appear at a given time. But you know, it's quite a capable system, I guess, for doing stuff like that. So yeah. Alright, and we get one of the most important moves for this run starting off here. I normally wouldn't teach this super early, but given what we're working with here, 60 base power stat move working off of our better attack stat is absolutely something I need here. Anyway, here's our first actual fight versus Alvin, and well, we do have our Swift advantage now, so we should be in pretty good shape when it comes to this one. I will say the music in this game is still absolutely awesome. Pokemon music does tend to be really good. Yeah, it's a nice two-shot, so not a problem here. But yeah, Pokemon music does tend to be really good, and this game's no exception. One of the things I really wish we could have at some point, even though I know it's kind of asking for a lot, would just be like a whole, like one of the games where we could choose from not quite any music in the series, but like a huge portion of them. You know, like Zinnia's theme was absolutely awesome. Cynthia's theme obviously is insane. Diantha's theme is the one I really like as well. Just stuff like that, being able to choose from those when doing online battles. But also, you know, like Team Yell's theme was interesting. Piers' one especially. And, you know, like, the Team Skull stuff was pretty cool. Rainbow Rocket's one was really good. Like, if we could choose from all sorts of different songs, Marnie's theme, you know, it would just be so cool if we could have... Maybe that'd be, like, Champions would be the best one for that sort of thing, where we could just have all of the songs, basically. Would be super, super cool. It's never going to happen, obviously, and it would be a huge undertaking to even put them all in one game. But, I mean, hey, if Mario Kart World can put, like, over 100 songs in, I don't see why Pokemon couldn't as well, but hey, maybe that's just me. Yeah, this is easy to make fun of just because of the quote-unquote graphical fidelity of the game. The beautiful nature all over the place thing, but, you know, it is a somewhat impressive landscape. This is certainly no Breath of the Wild moment, but I think it's just, like, it's so easy to compare to that, and it feels like such a false comparison too, because basically no game realistically is going to top something like that, you know? It's not really fair to have to compare everything to that, like, opening out of the Shrine of Resurrection. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Anyway, we're about to have another battle real soon here, and I think I do want to do not quite every battle, but I want to do as many of these as possible because I am terrified of that poor me. I think I can two-shot it, it's just I need to be able to outspeed it as well, and that's probably not gonna happen until like level 10 or so, I want to say. Even with the speed investment here, like, Swablu is not very fast, and Pormy is actually decently quick, so I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating it a little bit, but it's still very scary, and I do want to be prepared for that. I don't think that's gonna make me go to the ruins on the right hand side though. There's nothing for Swablu there, so don't think there's really a point in doing that. But doing the trainer fights down here and like before the school, that seems like a very sensible idea. Of course, there are a lot of things that you can pick up along the way if you choose to. So you, like, that is definitely a direction you should go in your first playthrough. And hey, that Oran Berry could actually be really useful as well. Being able to hold that before going into the battle would be quite strong too. If you're doing a regular playthrough here, you will see Ralts in this location as well. Gardevoir can still be very powerful, or Gallade if you find the Dawnstone as well, can be very powerful allies in the game. So there's that. Azurill is also here because like Azumarill is really strong too. Like Azumarill and Gallade could be a pretty good combination to have around. So those are a couple you could have, or if you want the new stuff, Fido is pretty funny. Is it good? Don't think so, but it's funny, and you know, that counts for a lot too. So yeah, I don't think a lot is going to particularly stand up to the Swift Onslaught here. They're not getting one-shot, obviously, because, I mean, Swablu's only got base 40 special attack, let's be real. And even though this is same type at the moment, it's not a particularly powerful move. If we had Hyper Voice, then we could maybe expect a couple more, or at least getting very close to one-shots. So, you know, that's an option. But we don't, so whatever. Anywho, the main reason to keep on talking with this bit is that once you are done with the Pokemon Center spiel here, this is when you have access to Mystery Gift. And you might think, well, how are you going to do that on a file that doesn't have, or a profile that doesn't have internet access? You can still do mystery gift. You can go into the Pokeportal, connect to the internet, specifically in the mystery gift portion of like in the menus, and it works. So that's how we're going to have the Petra Run potentially available as well, because that is still something that you have to download in the mystery gift part. But it also means that we can access the tracksuit, which literally just came up like about a week ago, maybe not even quite that. So we'll actually be able to have a proper change of clothes that is not just the regular uniform stuff at this point, which is pretty cool. So yeah, now that we're done with that bit, let's go into the portal. We will go mystery gift. We will get, I believe it is get via internet is the main one to get the Petra Run. So we can establish the connection, do all of that fun stuff, and we can search. Yep, that's how you get the Petra Berry. This one, so long as the servers are running for this, you will be able to get this. So I guess in the far-flung future, we won't be able to do the post-game. Kind of weird, but you know, it's the way that they ended up doing it. And yeah, if we go in via password, it is, depending on your version, it is S or V, and then tracksuits is the thing. I don't know how long this one lasts for, and obviously the suit needs to be used with 1 instead of an I, and yeah, you get a change of stuff, which is pretty good. So we will take our clothing gift, thank you very much. It's definitely interesting. I think the Scarlet one is better than the Violet one. I think it almost looks as if they were like swapped, because the Violet one looks very much like what a Scarlet thing would be. You'll see in a sec, but yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. So let's just go in, and this is another thing with the Switch 2 like patch and stuff. Man, is it fast going through the menu stuff here. But yeah, it's like the tracksuit bottom stuff just kind of looks more like it belongs to Scarlet than Violet. Maybe that's just me, but it's fine. It'll be interesting to do the playthrough with. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do the fights and stuff in the next section, and we will meet up with the next Nemona fight. So one of the main benefits of doing trainer battles in this game, since they are all optional, right? There is no getting caught by a spinner in this game. If you defeat a certain number of trainers in a particular area, you do gain access to bonus items. Quite often TMs, but you also get things like the amulet coin this way as well. So it is definitely worth doing a bunch of the trainer fights. You can get stuff like Earthquake from these as well in one of the particular zones. So yeah, do the fights if you can, if you want all the stuff. You don't need to, but it's definitely beneficial to do so. Now, one significant disadvantage to something like Swablu is it's in the most difficult experience group to level at the start of the game. I have already fought every trainer that I could find on the previous route up to Mesagoza, and it's not even level 9 yet. The Pormy is level 9, so I definitely need to get a little bit stronger before I can take that thing on. So with the first level cap being level 15, I'm not going all the way up that far. I don't need to go anywhere close to that, but I do want to be in the double digits at the very least. So I guess I'm going to go explore this place after all. Okay, I thought this trainer was going to be nearly impossible being the strong trainer from the area, but as it turns out, Swablu, good enough. And I think this should be definitely a high enough level to deal with the upcoming Pormy Menace. So with that said, let's go ahead and do the battle. This one is a little spooky, being super effective Terra Thundershock, but I think we'll be okay. I maybe could have put the Oran Berry on, but I think the Thundershock would two-shot even through the Oran Berry, so I'm just gonna go in without. Now if I had a Cherry Berry, then I would probably use that, because I think Paralysis would be the death of us here, but there's only so much you can play around, and I think this will have to be good enough. So Swablu is naturally pretty good at special defense as well, so if there's any reason we would survive this, it's because of that. But yeah, she's level 8 and level 9. You could argue maybe that we should have had a level cap for this one, but I don't really consider this a boss fight per se. So there's no badge or anything afterwards, so it's not really much of a fight for that. And hey, Growl instead of Water Gun, definitely happy with that. Maybe the Oran Berry could have made a difference at this point then? But I honestly think we will just outspeed and two-shot the Swift here. There's not really anything else to it. We just needed to have a high enough level to get the outspeed, because Palmy's not exactly sturdy, so our decently powered Swift should definitely get a two-shot here. With the little light bulb is so cute though. And this is one of the other big things about playing on the Switch too, the Terastalization animation stuff is a lot smoother. Yeah, we almost one-shot with that, so we are completely fine here. So yeah, more power to the Terra moves. That means this is gonna hurt a lot. Yeah, 16, so we do actually survive 2 hits of it. But I think if we were a couple of levels lower, maybe the Oran Berry would have been okay, but Water Gun into double Thundershock probably would have taken us out at level 9. So I'm glad to have that little bit of extra stability here just to be completely safe. And I mean, it's not as if we're going to over-level at any point soon. We do have another couple of fights to do, but nothing too dangerous here. So yeah, it's totally fine to be at this level, really. Now, one of the other interesting things you can pick up early here, there's a bunch of different hold items for getting some extra power out of your moves. The Muscle Band and Wise Glasses are also here. These are items you can find later on, especially the Muscle Band is, I believe that's the 4th gym town is where you would find that. But, I mean, they can be very useful for early on in the game as well. And I think I will actually pick up the Silk Scarf here for boosting Swift's power for just now. Seems pretty useful. The Wise Glasses in general would be more useful as a general boost to both Disarming Voice and Swift, but they only boost by 10%, and super effective Disarming Voice is still weaker than Swift is, so I'm just going to boost Swift's actual power here. Now later on in the game, I do believe you get more stuff when you get more badges and things. There are more items to buy here. But for now, this is the choice we have. And it's pretty useful. If you're using your default starter, then you can get the item to improve your stab attack immediately, which is pretty good. Now, one of the most important things to do in any of these games is to always get the sunglasses. I really like the design of these. I don't know, I just think the glasses are cute in these Pokemon games, so always going to put those on when available. And now for the final fights that we have in the opening section. the introduction to Penny and Team Star. I do like Penny's story in the end, but I do kind of wish that the Team Star stuff was a little bit more fleshed out. Like, it's too formulaic, I think, but this is one of the bigger things that the Switch 2 patch is going to help out a ton, is the Team Star missions, because oh man did they ever lag, especially the later ones. They were horrific, like almost unplayable, so it is going to be a huge benefit to have the extra performance for that. And this is another thing, like this is another song I would love to have in the next game as well, because oh boy, the Team Star theme is an absolute bop, but you just don't get to hear it very much because the battles don't last any time whatsoever. The boss one you get to hear a bit more, so that's good. Fury Attack is an interesting move here. If we were still going physical, then this would be at least usable, but since we're not, Swift is just miles better. Like, Fury Attack has to hit 5 times to beat the power of Swift, and even then, because of our nature and EV slant, it's not going to matter. So, yeah. Now, I'm not actually sure if you have to Terastalize to fight this next one, but Nimona probably would get upset with you if you didn't. So we're going to break our rule once here and Terastalize during this fight, just to please her. She kind of did go to a lot of trouble to get this Terra Orb for us, right? So the least we could do is like pretend to thank her for it, you know? So yeah. But in general, we will not be using Terastalization unless we are forced to, which we are at the very end of the game, like once, but it's fine. And I think versus Terapagos you are also forced to, because otherwise you are never breaking through that thing's barrier for, you know, any point. Like, the whole idea is that you have to Terastalize that fight. It's one big star raid. Max terrible even, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, we'll do the Terastalization thing, and you get to do it once before you go to a Pokemon Center. It's not actually going to affect us too much here because, honestly, Peck is our weaker move here. But again, just look how fluid this is in comparison. Even just like, there's no delay from choosing your Terastal option to going into it here. Like, there was such a delay in the original game, like on the Switch. And, well, almost one-shot. If we were physically slanted, we would have one-shot there. But, yeah, that's the whole idea. Terastalization gives you more attack power on the move that your Terra type is, and it also just completely changes your type as well. So, competitively, it's very interesting, because you flip the script on things so much. You know, like the classic one, Tyranitar becomes a ghost type, so that it changes from having a 4 times fighting weakness to a fighting immunity. Very, very interesting. But yeah, that is more or less everything before the actual game itself starts here. I think there's only really one other thing that I would want to show off, and that is one of the cutscenes that was infamously bad in the original version because of draw distance-based, or like distance-based frame skipping type stuff. Like, in the original game, most objects that were not within about 10 feet of you were rendered at about half the frame rate of everything else, and that included during cutscenes and made some things look extremely awkward. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that nearly so much in this updated version, so yeah, we will see that shortly. Alright, and here it is, the infamous classroom scene. If anyone has seen this before, they will know that basically every kid that is making any sort of motion here, they were effectively in stop motion. I think to call it 5 frames per second is being too generous, if I'm being honest with you. So now we have the problem that they're all in sync. You know, it's a far cry from it being like just not functional in the first place. This game has got a really awkward, at least on the Switch one, it has a really awkward relation with like player distance to, you know, fidelity on the characters and stuff around them. It makes sense, and it always has been a good trick for games to like render things that are far away from the player in like lower frame rates, especially lower resolutions and whatnot. So like that's to be sort of expected, but this game had to take it to such an extreme where even that kid that's on the right hand side there, like they're not very far away at all, they are very well within shot, and they also had to have that thing applied. It's kind of unbelievable, to be honest, but that is one of the big things that is changed within the Switch 2 patch stuff, is that like almost, with a couple of exceptions, almost all of the things that suffered from that are now like completely fine. So yeah, it's so much nicer. So just in case there was any confusion whatsoever, if you get a picture like this, it does not count towards getting a new encounter because this does not have a badge associated with it. That's why I was a little specific in the way that I said photo, because there's a couple of times that in this intro sequence that you actually do get given a picture like this, more or less specifically from the Mono actually, and yeah, that would be cheating, so obviously not counting that. With that said, however, that is more or less everything from the intro here. Maridon is going to be like, let's get moving, and then we're immediately going to get stopped, which we'll briefly go over because we have the DLC now, so we're immediately going to get stopped from forward progression. And I think, honestly, given how well the Pomi went, Swablu probably can take both Carmine and Kieran here, so I think I will be starting with getting some Kitsukami stuff done just before the gym, to be honest. I don't believe we're going to overlevel Swablu given the experience curve that it has, so I think we'll be fine. Let's grab ourselves some more encounters next time around ahead of our challenge here, and yeah, as you can see, immediately just get stopped because then what is it? But you know, we're not that mean. And yeah, we get to go to the land of Kitsukami. Oh man, let's get that sorted shortly, huh? And we will go from there. So thank you very much for watching our first part here. Hopefully this will be an interesting series to go through. I will try and be reasonable when it comes to the amount of exploration we see here, because this place is absolutely huge and there's a lot of just like walk time and things going on as well, so we'll try and be a little brief when it comes to that sort of thing. But if anything interesting comes up, like this TM over here being Ice Fang, we can at least show stuff like that. But anyway, that is enough for just now. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it has been interesting, and until next time, when we go in towards Kitsukami stuff, take care.